1 years or so. What are we going to do? I mean, for the rest of our 4-year lives in this parliament.
We are live in Parliament as the House approves the 2021 budget statement. Then later, the petition to Parliament by founders of now defunct UT Bank and Unibank, asking the House to investigate the Bank of Ghana's revocation of their licenses and direct an immediate restoration.
Yes, the petition has come to us. We are hoping that the Speaker will refer this into a committee to investigate that.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gassim Cement, the nation builder. It's also brought to you by Belacqua Mineral Water. Well, shouting and banging of tables on another dramatic day in Parliament, which saw the NDC minority side lose yet another vote in the attempt to reject the 2021 budget. The NDC side had initially challenged the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who had earlier declared that the MPP side had won a voice vote. In the end, the Speaker himself, Alban Babing, took control and ordered a head count. Now, the NDC side lost that count, securing 134 votes to 137. This means the NDC side failed to get 3 of their members into the chamber to vote. Despite their defeat, the minority has served notice it will always demand a head count during voting going forward. We'll hear from them shortly. But let me give you a sense of how events unfolded in the House when the question of whether or not the budget ought to be approved was put by First Deputy Speaker Joe Owusu, although it appeared that the minority members who shouted no were louder. The First Deputy Speaker ruled in favor of the majority NPP, and this was their reaction.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All against, say no. I think the ayes have it. The motion is adopted.
Well, then Deputy Minority Leader James Aveji rose to challenge the Speaker's ruling and demanded a head count.
Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 113. Permit me to quote that when a question has been put by Mr. Speaker, Order 113, that when the question has been put by Mr. Speaker at the conclusion of the debate, the vote shall be taken by voices. Ayes and the no, provided that Mr. Speaker may in his discretion, instead of declaring the result on the voice vote, call for a head count. Mr. Speaker, 1132, a member may call for head count or division if the opinion of Mr. Speaker on the votes is challenged. Mr. Speaker, I'm challenging your ruling on the voice vote for a head count, and I'm calling for a head count.
Well, shortly after this demand was made, the Speaker himself, Alban Babing, then returned to the chamber, took control, and then agreed that, of course, there must be a head count, agreed with what the Deputy Minority Leader had asked, and then the head count proceeded. Parker Wilson is joining me right now to fill in what happened from there. Parker, thank you very much for joining us here on this day when, of course, we are hearing about another defeat for the minority side in the House. So the NDC side, we understand, lost yet another vote, a very critical one because it had to do with the budget they had criticized. But they failed to get all their members in the House to vote when it mattered the most. There were 3 MPs short, we understand, of moving this particular vote to a tie. Who are these 3 NDC MPs who failed to show up? Do we know?
Yes, in fact, we know the names of the 3 NDC MPs who are not in the chamber today. Benjamin Todo was not present in the House; he was absent. Samuel Atamils.
Do we know why? Do we know why he was?
Well, so we've been told that by the majority leader that Mr. Kodo is bereaved. He lost the mother. So as we speak, he's currently in the constituency. And that Kodo himself informed him of his absence. And so as we speak, Mr. Benjamin Kodo is in his constituency in O, where he's monitoring the funeral activity of his mother. And Samuel Atamils, the Member of Parliament for Commander Edna Guafua Brem, KEA, was also not present in the House. That we don't know why he wasn't present. But one other Member of Parliament, Augustine Terrier, we are told that he's seriously ill and he's not. He wasn't able to come to Parliament today, and that is why 3 members of the NDC were absent or did not partake in the head count.
What has been the reaction of the NDC side to this outcome?
Well, the NDC, even though they lost the vote, if you look at the outcome of the head count, 134 was against 137, and they claim it's a major achievement for them. And this is the reason, Evans, that all the concerns they raised, in fact, they talked about amending the fiscal framework. That has been a challenge because ever since the budget was presented, particularly Kesel Atoforsen, the ranking member on the Finance Committee, has been consistently making the point. And so for government or the majority leader who presented the budget to admit and say that, well, we understand your concerns and that we will go back and amend the fiscal framework because some of the expenditures were missing in the budget statement. That is victory for them.
This is an important vote. Important vote for one reason. Important reason, vote in the sense that this will form the basis of us accepting or not accepting most of the policies in the budget statement. So now that it is clear, the majority members of the House has accepted some policies. Then going into the appropriations, then you'll be guided by the sense of the House and then work accordingly. So I think it's an important vote, and it's important that it happened this way.
Is it the new normal that now the majority and minority, especially from your side, will always demand for a vote in terms of taking a major decision on behalf of the country?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we should be prepared that going forward, we, the members of the minority, will react when we feel that things are not right. And we will not just react by just talking. We will vote accordingly to reflect our sentiment. And that is exactly what we are doing.
See more voting.
Don't be surprised that we vote on every single thing going forward. If government fails to convince us that they are doing it in the interest of the nation, we will vote against it.
Don't say to those who say that the minority perhaps seems to be a nation-wide.
So as a minority, we should just go and sleep and not to ask questions.
Parker, I can assume the NPP side is pretty satisfied with this outcome?
They are set and incensed by the conduct of the minority. In fact, they thought that the minority was going to make the whole process easier for them. But they are accusing the minority of engaging in what they call political grandstanding and gradually becoming obstructionists. They think that this is not the way to go. Government would have to carry out some programs, and it is important that for a policy document like the budget, they were expecting the minority to fall in line.
It is nothing more than a political stance. It wasn't based on any principles, I guess. The opposition can make a lot of contribution, especially at the committee levels. I've been in committees several times. There have been several fine ideas which have come from opposing members, and we have incorporated them. So I do not see where there should be political grandstanding here. It is a wrong platform that they chose.
You know the repercussion? The repercussion is that if if this budget was rejected, it would have been something else. The assumption is that at least by the end of the year, if we're not able to come up with a new budget, for it to be accepted by Parliament, it means that from 1st April, the nation cannot work. In other words, nothing can happen in the country. Government workers cannot be paid. Everything cannot be run well. Parliament cannot even run as it used to run. Are we going to vote on everything in this house? I've been here for the past how many years now? I think 21 years or so. I'm seeing this for the first time.
But Mr. Hammond, you've got critical issues with them. They believe there are places you need to fight.
That is not the issue. That is not the issue. There's consensus. When you talk about consensus is not a split vote that we're going through every single day, every single minute. Is that what we're going to do? For the rest of our 4-year lives in this Parliament.
And Parker, to think that it only took 3 more members from the NDC side to move this vote to a tie, which would effectively mean that this 2021 budget statement would have been left stranded in the House for the very first time in a long time historically. We are now beginning to learn that there had been some backroom wheeling and dealing and negotiations because of the absence of these 3 MPs amongst both the minority and majority leadership, but it didn't play out exactly as was discussed, at least from the point of view of the majority leader. What have you been learning from him?
Yeah, so the majority leader says the leadership of the House, so himself and Haruna Idrisu together with their deputies, have agreed, more like a gentleman's agreement, that, well, you have raised a number of concerns. We agree. But then this is the policy statement which must be approved because we are running out of time. And you know that Parliament went on recess for a few weeks because of the COVID outbreak in the House. And so it is important that we'll all agree and approve the budget. In that meeting, we are told by the majority leader that all the parties involved agreed to it. And the agreement was finally that when it comes to the chamber, make your reservations known, make the point. Let the hands that captured that indeed we were not satisfied with portions of the budget statement. But however, we want to support its approval. That didn't play out today. And so the majority leader says he was a bit disappointed and taken aback when he saw that members of the NDC were behaving in such a manner.
Well, I thought their conduct today is unfortunate, and because I've been in some discussions with them, they had intimated that they were not happy with certain aspects of the budget, in particular the imposition of taxes. Later on, they beat some retreat by not altogether condemning the imposition of taxes, but they're relating to the timing.
Right.
Still a good point of divergence. So you could register the point strongly. So they said they're going to push for voting. And I said to them that, look, by our rules, if we vote, voice vote, it will not even register that the NDC voted against it. So what it is that must be done is for them to express strongly on the floor that on this item, or maybe these items, 1, 2, 3, we want to register our reservations. So we will not go with government on that path. The imposition of taxes, the timing we believe is wrong. Okay. So I said to them that I thought that was a better option. And they agreed with me. So you remember when, I don't know whether you observed it, when Haruna had spoken, I was even telling him that I didn't hear him on that very well.
Okay.
But he said to me that he had registered it, step out at a point in time.
It was indicated that the NDC is united against all the taxes.
Precisely. So he then told me, quoting these words, I said, okay, then maybe it was because I stepped out. So they wanted to register the point and their disapproval of it in plenary, in that sense. Then we get to the majority leader pro tem also coming in to do the winding up for and on behalf of the majority caucus. And they are incensed. they say that in that case they are going to have a vote. Of course, I had counted them, and I knew that at the point there were about 7 of them.
So you had already counted them?
I had already counted them. I knew.
See.
So I knew it was going to be a waste of our time.
Oh.
So I indicated to them that, look, we should even be careful, because you see, there were some of them who were not in the chamber for good cause.
So you are disappointed that in spite of the gentleman's agreement?
In spite of that, it was a big disappointment to me, and I was frustrated by that. But if that is what they want to do, I'm not in a position to stop them. I only hope that as we move on, perhaps this may be just initial pangs, that as we move on, the result will be to register their disappointment or disagreement with government on issues strongly on the floor, and allow government business to proceed.
We do understand that this will be a strategy by the minority going forward.
If it's
to
a strategy,
vote next week budget estimate.
It's a strategy. It will be, to expose yourself as just being, position yourself to frustrate government business.
So as it stands now, and this is just according to the majority leader, I'm pretty sure we're working the phone lines if we can get the minority side to get a balance of that story as far as that wheeling and dealing behind closed doors are concerned before the issue came to the plenary for a discussion and a debate and the final vote today. But Parker, so as it stands now, the budget statement has been approved. What next?
Okay, so right now, what we are expecting the House to consider is the budget estimate, the allocation or the monies earmarked for each project. You know, the government has talked about the construction of 88 district hospitals, plus the 7 regional hospitals, also the introduction of the new taxes when they have to roll it out. So next week, the House is going to focus on the estimate for each ministry and agency. That is what we should expect now. So for all the other programs, they have given government the approval to go ahead and do it. Now let's look at the money matter. You're talking about district hospitals. How much do you need? Is it more? Is it less? Let's approve it. Let's reject it. That's all we have to expect from next week.
Parker, thank you very much. And another story we are following for you tonight, the founder of now defunct UT Bank, Kofi Amoabeng, and a major shareholder of Unibank, Dr. Kwabena Dufour, have both petitioned Parliament to investigate the conduct of the Bank of Ghana over the revocation of the bank's licenses. Now, the Bank of Ghana in 2017 revoked the license of UT Bank due to their insolvency, leading to a takeover by GCB Bank. UT Bank, which was trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange, had its listing status also suspended. Now, Unibank's operating license was also revoked in 2018, and along with 4 other banks, merged into the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited. But the 2 key stakeholders in these banks are challenging the Bank of Ghana's actions, and they've sent a petition to Parliament. My colleague Masola Bagba is in the studio with details of what we've cited on the floor in the documents that are yet to come before the House sometime next week. Do we know the specifics of Mr. Mabing's petition?
Yes, Evan. So 3 requests he makes. 1, that Parliament investigates the conduct of the Bank of Ghana and the Ghana Stock Exchange for the revocation of UT Bank's license and delisting the bank without due regard to the rules of administrative justice guaranteed under Article 23 of the 1992 Constitution. Demand 2, that Parliament directs the restoration of the banking license of UT Bank Limited by the Bank of Ghana and the remedying of the harms done the shareholders' property rights as a result of the conduct of the Bank of Ghana. And then finally, that Parliament gives any other directives that it deems appropriate.
Well, very, very interesting details that he is demanding. What about Dr. Kwabena Dufour? It sounds pretty similar, does it not?
Pretty similar demands and requests he is also making. 1, that Parliament investigates the conduct of the Bank of Ghana in the takeover appointment of an official administrator of Unibank Ghana Limited and the circumstances surrounding the revocation of the banking license of Unibank Ghana Limited. 2, that Parliament directs the restoration of the banking license of Unibank Ghana Limited by the Bank of Ghana and the remedying of the harms done the shareholders' property rights as a result of the conduct of the Bank of Ghana. And then finally, that Parliament gives any other directive that it deems appropriate. Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's there are a lot of questions that are begging tonight on the back of this. Does Parliament have the powers to authorize the Bank of Ghana to restore a license and etc.? What about aspects of this that are already in court, which is subject of a court of competent jurisdictions consideration? And what is it that Parliament itself intends to do? Because we know that this is part of the business of Parliament next week.
Exactly.
It's been captured in the business documents. It's coming next week between Monday, 22nd March to ending.
Yeah. So the business statement for the 10th week ending Saturday, 27 March 2021, and this one is scheduled to take place on Monday, 22nd March 2021.
Well, we'll see how this unfolds in the House, but we've been speaking to a ranking member on the Finance Committee, Dr. Kesela Tofosik, tells Joy News he's expecting the Speaker of Parliament to refer the matter to the committee for a thorough review of the issues contained in the petition.
What I can tell you for a fact is that the petition has come to us. We are hoping that the Speaker will refer this into a committee to investigate that. I do not know the thinking of the Speaker. I don't know whether the Speaker is going to refer to us as members of the Finance Committee to deliberate on it, or whether the Speaker is going to set up an ad hoc committee to deliberate on the matter. So let's first of all wait on the Speaker to refer this to our appropriate committee of Parliament to deliberate on it, so that we can then look at the issues concerned and address it.
We're also getting an indication of where the majority side, the MPP side, where they will stand on this matter when indeed comes before the House. Listen to Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, the majority leader.
These two matters are before the courts.
Right.
And the courts are investigating it. Do they want to pitch Parliament against the courts?
Is that what you think they want to do?
I don't know. They should tell us. Because the matter is before, these two matters are before the courts. And the courts have directed that they should resort to amicable resolution of the matter. And so they've lifted their feet off the accelerator pedal for a while. It doesn't mean that the case is being cancelled out from the courts. It's still before the courts. So if from there you bring the matter to Parliament for Parliament to deal with, the Speaker is the person who is solely responsible for the admissibility of the motions. Is the Speaker right to admit such motions when he knows that the matters are before the courts?
You think it's not right to admit such a motion?
In my own considered opinion, I don't think it's right.
Because it's been...
it's before the
before
courts.
the court currently.
Fancy the situation that maybe it comes before us and Parliament determines that, let's say, the licenses should be given back to them. And the court also ruled that the authorities were right in doing what they did. What would be the results?
So you would want the court to finish with the process?
I would have wished that the Speaker would have allowed the courts to handle the case. Because it's before them. It's not as if it's now going to go to the courts. It's before the courts. And in any event, if we come to some determination, how do they enforce it if the matter is before the courts?
So that is Che Mensah-Bonsu. This is set to come before the House, as we indicated, sometime next week. The two petitions from Prince Kofi Amwabeng to Parliament asking the House to investigate the Bank of Ghana's conduct in revoking UT Bank's license. You're also asking Parliament to direct the restoration of the banking license of UT Bank Limited. Similar petition has also been filed by Dr. Kwabena Dufour. He's also asking for similar investigations into the takeover appointment of an official administrator of Unibank Ghana Limited and the circumstances surrounding the revocation of the banking license of Unibank. He also wants the restoration of his licenses. A lot to interrogate on this particular matter. You want to join us next week for more of this? Go on to myjoyonline.com and find details of this there as well. Ghana Connect in 3 minutes.
A14 Bionic, the fastest chip in a smartphone. Super Retina